everyone. My name is Meech Schwarzkopf, and today I'm going to talk with you about the history of American gun control. Now, as American citizens, I'm sure we are all very aware of the Second Amendment, which grants us all the right to keep and bear arms. And we're also very familiar with the many controversies surrounding recent mass shootings and the gun control legislations that they have put through with our current legislature. What I find far fewer people are aware of is just how far back in American history gun control legislation actually goes. Did you know, for instance, that the very first gun control law ever passed in this country was passed in 1834 in Georgia, of all places? That's right, gun control started in the South. Now, the reason for it was the state legislature of Georgia had gotten incredibly fed up with the sheer number of quote-unquote duels that were taking place in public streets. And understand that pistols at the time were not particularly accurate, so when you started having duels in the middle of a thoroughfare in Atlanta, it was often the child in the house across the street who ended up dead. So, in 1834, the Georgia State Legislature passed a law banning owning handguns within the state of Georgia. Now, it was 8 years later, in 1845, when the Supreme Court of the state of Georgia repealed said law, stating, again, the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, and that this gun control law was in violation of it and thus unconstitutional. And to this day, whenever a gun control legislation goes to the courts, that is the legal precedent that is used by proponents who are opposed to gun control. Now, the South is where gun control next raised its head in the aftermath of the Civil War. It was the 1865 start of the Black Codes where we next saw gun control laws rising, where they were forbidding African American former slaves and freedmen too, well, all freedmen now, from owning any type of firearm. This was designed to keep them down, to prevent a fear of revolts, but mostly so that every white man in the neighborhood could own a gun and go lynch the black guy. Not cool, but that's what they were. These codes were, well, in many states, the codes took far too long to be repealed, often lasting into the 1920s and 30s. But the very first national level of gun control that we ever saw in the United States was in 1934. And isn't that just interesting? 1834 to 1934. And it was under FDR. After Prohibition and the advent of rising organized crime, we had many citizens who were just fed up because of the Tommy gun era. And so in 1934, as part of his New Deal initiatives, Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed the National Firearms Act, which made firearms, both sawed-off shotguns and machine guns, taxable with a $200 tax on the manufacture and sale thereof, and also instigated the first national registry for firearms within the United States, a system that is still used today. Now, violations, either avoiding the tax or, illegal sale, now became punishable by federal law by up to 10 years in prison and up to $250,000 in fines. Remember, this was the Great Depression. Most people didn't have 2 quarters to rub together, let alone $500,000. So as you can see, gun control has a long-standing history of controversy within the United States, with proponents both for and against, and is really nothing new. But I think so long as we keep things changing with the times and we keep up with the new advances in guns and how we respond to it, we'll do all right. And that's one of the best parts of this country. Thank you.